Okay, it is Saturday, June 7th, and a ton of things are currently happening in the world of video games. Sony announced a lot of cool stuff with their most recent State of Play. Summer Games Fest is happening or has happened. They're also hosting a ton of smaller showcases that are highlighting some cool indies out there. Xbox is also having a showcase tomorrow that should be good, and the Switch 2 is out. Needless to say that there is a ton happening right now, and there are a lot of games coming out very soon. And in this particular video, I wanted to highlight 5 games that you shouldn't skip this month, regardless of what's happening. Now we know about Mario Kart World. Death Stranding 2 is coming out on the 26th, and there's a few others. Undertale's sequel/spiritual successor Deltarune is currently out. But I wanted to talk about some games that might have missed your radar if you're not into games media coverage as much as someone like myself. The first game that I wanted to talk about is a Switch 2 launch title developed by Shinin Multimedia. These are the people behind Fast Racing Neo on the Wii U. They were also there at the Switch launch with Fast Remix, and they're also at the Switch 2 launch, this time with Fast Fusion. Now, right off the bat, if you're not into racing games, then I really wouldn't suggest this one. But if you are into racing games and if you're looking for a challenge, then the Fast series, Fast Racing Neo, Fast Remix, and with Fast Fusion, I would definitely recommend checking this one out. These games seem to nail something that F-Zero probably could have nailed nowadays, but haven't, since the franchise has been dormant for centuries at this point. But yeah, Shinin Multimedia is taking the reins of the F-Zero genre of fast, unrelenting racers and putting them on Switch for a reasonable price at $14.99 in a world where Mario Kart World is $80, and there's a lot of, variability within pricing. So Fast Fusion should not be a hard sell for those who are interested in this type of genre, considering the fact that it also boots 60 FPS and looks beautiful in motion. There isn't much else I could really ask for in a game like this. They offer the single player modes like Grand Prix and the time trial runs where you could chase those high scores. They have online multiplayer and split screen multiplayer if you just want to play with friends. What sets this entry apart from Remix and Racing Neo, the previous titles from Shinin Multimedia, is that they are implementing a vehicle fusion mechanic where you could create hundreds of new racing machines by fusing 2 vehicles, and just the endless possibilities of those fusions seem really cool. So if you're looking for a racer that scratches that Wipeout, fast, futuristic F-Zero itch, check out Fast Fusion. The second game I wanted to talk about in today's video is called Rematch. Now, this is a game from the developers behind Sifu and Absolver, and it's a huge departure from those previous games. This game is soccer. It's a 5v5 soccer game, and the thing that sets this game apart from any other soccer game is that the camera angle, first and foremost, is definitely behind your character and solos in on them compared to like either a top-down or like omniscient perspective. There is also a Rocket League type border around the field where you could bounce the ball off and ricochet off of the sides, and gives that Rocket League feel in an actual soccer game. So Rematch is on my radar. It really blew me away when I knew that Slow Clap was developing this game. I know it's gotten a lot of betas recently, and I know that a ton of streamers are really enjoying the game, so it seems to be building some type of fan base. The community is growing, and on June 19th, you can get it for $30. If that tickles your fancy, then check out Rematch. The next game that I wanted to talk about today is called Rooftops and Alleys, the parkour game. Now, this game is being made by a single developer, which is super impressive. It's coming out later this month. I know it's been in early access for about a year now, I think. It's coming out at $20. And let's just get this out of the way. I am not big on parkour. However, the video game industry doesn't seem to get this type of game nowadays, if not ever, let alone maybe Mirror's Edge might be the closest thing to it. But yeah, this game seems to be novel in its emphasis on parkour, and just the traversal aspect of things and the expression of what you can execute on your free roaming runs. It seems to be doing something that not a lot of games do nowadays, or if not ever, like I said before. So if this game tickles your fancy, then Rooftops and Alleys, the parkour game, might be for you. Alright, so we've made it through 3 games, and the 4th game that I wanted to talk about is the most anticipated game for me this month, and that is Ruffy and the Riverside. This game seems to be accomplishing something that Mario and Banjo did back in the 90s, and that is 3D collectathon platforming, which is such a guilty pleasure genre of mine in the video game space. It seems mindless and dumb and for kids, but for me, it's everything that I look for in a game. Not everything, but you know what I mean. I love these types of games, so anytime I get a chance to see something new in that type of space, I'm really intrigued, and Ruffy and the Riverside seems to be doing just that. What separates this game from all the other 3D collectathon platformers that come out nowadays is the aesthetics. The art style is to die for. The marriage between 2D sprites and a beautifully realized 3D world is impressive to say the least. The soundtrack seems bouncy, jazzy, and fun. The characters in the game seem delightful, and just the world itself seems like one that I want to spend my time in. And we get a lot of games like this in that particular 3D collectathon genre, but we don't get enough games with this amount of polish and love catered towards executing what the 90s 3D collectathon platformers did back in the day. And so if you like that type of game, Ruffy and the Riverside should be on the top of your list. And Gex is also coming out.
Let's get it on!